All right, welcome back, everybody. We're live in Atlanta, Georgia, getting ready to start the next round of competition. We're in the lower bracket here. We're going to be watching Team Dignitas up against Cloud9 HyperX.
That's going to be one hell of a Smite game, ladies and gentlemen. Someone needs to bring Last as a baby to kiss. He's such a politician.
I know, right? The EU team, I mean, that's what we love. We like to see the competition. We like to see the jests going back and forth. Suntouch, we all know him. We've seen him on streams, of course, recently picking up Cloud9 earlier this year. And after that, he started mid. Came out of nowhere. When he first entered the scene, it was like, who's this Suntouch guy? He got picked up by a very notable team at the time and then played mid, switched to support, and now he's playing jungle when FrostyX stepped out. So he's been playing very, very well. Even today, we saw him earlier. Yesterday, not so strong as we would expect it, but today coming out strong. I'm really excited for this match.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a really good one. I think one of the matchups to definitely keep your eye on is the mid lane, the Best versus Sayo, respectively in their own regions, considered probably the more aggressive, more playmaking style of mid laners.
While you're watching the highlight reel earlier, we saw ShadowQ doing his little wiggle dance.
Oh, the wiggles.
Of course, Last is in the solo lane with that huge banish while being 2v1 on the right side.
That play.
Some big, big plays being made here. I'm really excited to see how this works out. Now, bans. We've seen Raw and Nemesis banned out almost every game. Odin's a gimme. That's just, you gotta get rid of Odin.
Chalk.
You can't have Odin. Chalk as well.
Chalk will go.
He's been hit or miss. We've seen him play. Actually, Wolfie got him yesterday. We got a couple games today where he was picked up. But, you know, there's Zeus right away. So we're going to have Zeus banned out.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's a matter of Chalk is pretty much going to get banned out in the first game.
Right.
And then if someone overperforms on a non-standard God pick, you'll see that respect ban, and that's usually when the Chalk gets through.
Well, respect ban coming out here. Looking at Dignitas, they actually have a pretty big God pull when you're looking at it. You're thinking, okay, they can play. Last especially increases God pull over time. ShadowQ can play almost every support, if not every single support to a high level. And we've seen support shift. They used to be support tanks. You want Bacchus, you want Emir, you want Sobek. And then we kind of moved. We want more push, more damage, more harassment. Sen Wukong came into it. We saw Guan Yu very strong in support in Continental, one of the few people who started bringing that forward as well. Now we're seeing more Odins. We're seeing a lot of, even, you know, some rotations in there where we saw Nemesis support, people trying new things. So I think support is wide open, and ShadowQ very strong in that role.
I think that it's a matter of mages for a long time being so dominant. And then when the bruisers came out, and bruisers, of course, are kind of the type of kit that is meant to deal with a mage, right? They're too tanky to burst down 100 to 0. They do enough damage to harass the mage and keep them out of the fights. And that's why you see those gods become so popular in that Guardian role. Even though the Guardians do many things better in terms of CC and in terms of being able to soak damage, and even in some cases being able to close distance, especially gods like Sobek and Bacchus, you see Sen Wukong where even though you have to blow the ultimate, it's generally worth it to go for an objective steal.
That's exactly right, and also the fact that they can be very, very safe. One of the reasons why, when we were very support tank meta heavy, Emir didn't work so much. He didn't have the escape potential. When he's caught, he's caught. He can't really go anywhere. And so characters like Sen Wukong, he can go deep. He can go for those objective steals like you were mentioning, Bart, but then when he gets into trouble, Somersault Cloud hops up in the air and stays safe, and he can get a lay of the land, see who's going, see the rotations are coming to kind of react to that, and be very mobile in the fact that if he's in trouble, he can use Ox for him. If he's offensive, use the cat. In complete trouble, he wants to get out. He's going bird and getting out of there. So there's a lot of options there for those kind of supports.
Well, I think for Sen Wukong, the key ability there is Master's Will. The AoE knockup, it kind of puts him into that class where Sobek Tail Whip was for a long time considered probably the best support ability in the game. Such good knockup. I mean, even before it was nerfed, when it had that like 1.5 seconds of active time of knockup. And then, you know, Sen Wukong having a similar ability, certainly not as much impulse, not as much CC, but it does allow for sufficient peel and setup. So I think that that's a lot of why you see him being, well, the top pick throughout the qualifiers.
Well, he's highly mobile, highly versatile. He can go around, like you mentioned, the Master's Will spin up, but then you could easily jump in Master's Will, go Ox, knock him up again, and then you spin around, do some harassment with the Jingle Bang on top, and then, of course, when you get into trouble, you open in the air. He's very versatile and can fit in a lot of situations. And not only that, because he is in that bruiser role, his scaling potential per level is actually pretty high for damage. And so, you know, it's that feeling where, oh, Sobek's on me, he's not going to kill me. And then Sen Wukong jumps in, you're like, oh, it's Sen Wukong, he's playing support, he's not going to kill me. And all of a sudden, tons of damage comes out. And oftentimes, he can zone out high-profile targets like hunters or mages just by sticking to them specifically. So on the screen, the bans are coming out here. We got Nemesis, Tyr, Zeus, and Odin. Dignitas, they're getting rid of the combo here, Zeus and Odin.
Yeah, but man, Dignitas going for the snap pick on Chalk. Like,
there it is.
The second ban came in, Chalk was locked in right away by Team Dignitas. You can tell that they're a team that actually tends to do that kind of thing. For a long time, it was Athena for Anatoly. If available, they take it. And then Athena for Lasses. If available, they take it. So here at Chalk is just the new flavor for them.
Well, I mean, it's a character that came out. Oh, is there a Chronos? Bart, this is a Hunter.
Okay. They're going to switch it over to the on her, a little bit safer a pick. Could still see Chronos potentially show up in the solo lane, but unlikely, I would say, versus the Chalk. He doesn't really have the best tools to deal with him, but got to look out for Xaylia. Bakasura we saw be very, very effective against Chalk. And actually, interestingly enough, they're looking at new.
They're just doing this for the crowd.
Okay, yeah,
they're doing this for the crowd.
They want to troll
the
everybody.
crowd to love this right now. There's one very dry tear coming out of my eye right now as they're fighting for this one. Chronos. Now we have seen Cloud9 do Chronos in the Hunter role before.
Absolutely.
They like the late game scaling. They like the mobility, but they're just going to go for the honor pick, which. I mean, for anyone who has a pair of eyes and watched Smek over the last day, and that's 24 hours playing on her, mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And I'm not too surprised to pick up. They're going for Freya. This has to go to Lassus. Again, one of the highlight clips was him playing Freya in the jungle in that solo lane. Ra locked in as well. That's most likely going to Anatoly, but Bastet gets locked in.
Oh,
Bakasura
there
early.
He is, Dry Bear. Bakasura. So he has a lot of really good tools to deal with Chalk. Bakasura is similar to what we saw Xaylia run with the Amir solo lane in the last game, is that if you overextend against it, you're not really sure how much damage it can put out. It can turn around very quickly on you, plus Bakasura has the leap to disjoint the silence from Chalk, which is very, very important in that matchup. And he gets the speed boost that allows him to stick to the Chalk with the Eat minion.
That's right. Now, we've seen Apollo a couple times here locked in for, this is going to be going to Zapman. Now, we watched Apollo on Youngbay, we watched Apollo on Zapman, very, very strong. In fact, one of the highlight clips was also Zapman playing Apollo. We watched Allied play Apollo, and we can see where Apollo fits. He's got a lot of utility. The key is being able to use his ability to relocate very quickly by bringing people away from objectives or taking towers down, but also using the Serenade effectively to start things off. Zapman, so aggressive. And he knows his team's behind him. Shadowq's right behind him, able to jump in there when he goes. And a lot of times you see Zapman pop sprint, go in front, serenade the whole entire team, and then start the team fight that way. He's an initiator as a Hunter.
We saw him quite a bit in that role, but I think the key to Team Dignitas' lineup here, Freya, Chalk, Sun Wukong. 3 ultimates that make you immune to damage. It's going to allow them to stall out team fights. They have the big AoE silence from Chalk to stall things out more, and that makes time for the Zapman rotation, a strategy we saw Team Coast Blue run to some success. Right. We'll see how they can execute it here today, Dry Bear, as we are moving into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 1, Team Dignitas versus Cloud9 HyperX.
Give it up in the crowd as well as at home if you're watching this. This is going to be a wonderful series, and it all starts with game 1. On the bottom side of the map, you're going to be watching Team Dignitas. Lassus on Freya in the jungle, the best playing Raw, and Anatoly on Chalk. Zapman playing Apollo, and ShadowQ on Sun Wukong.
And they are the red team fighting from the chaos side of the map, the top side of your mini-map and the right side of your spectator UI. They are Cloud9 HyperX, Xaylia on the solo lane on Bakasura, Smek and Murder combining for the dual lane on her and Guan Yu, Sun Touch out of the jungle on Bastet, and Sayo will be your mid laner on Agni. And I believe this will be the first time we'll see Sayo on Agni in this tournament.
Yeah, that's right. Sayo's been playing a lot of Isis, a lot of Poseidon. You picked that up as well. Captain's playing a lot of Poseidon as well. We've seen a lot of, a shift in the mid, but there's so many mid characters to play now, and we don't really see him on Agni all that often because he's so comfortable. Surprisingly enough, he's not starting off here. Now, we do see his aggressive start where he goes for the tiny trinket, tries to rush up some pickup there, so he's probably going for maybe a Bancroft's Talon. He loves this on Agni, in fact, so he's going to go for those pen boots into the Bancroft's Talon, use of course, the lifesteal to keep himself alive, and kind of use the flame wave there. But, we haven't really seen a whole lot of Agni picks overall. I mean, not just Sayo, just the whole tournament so far, Agni's been kind of left alone.
Agni, a god that comes in and out of favor without really any changes to his kit. It's really kind of, you could write a dissertation on Agni and Smite. I mean, he's come in and out of the meta so many times, has gone from never picked to being first ban, first pick potential, and legitimately nothing changes on that god. He's just always very, very potent. Raw in a similar position as well. One thing I do want to point out here is we see the team splitting for the early mid camps. Nothing appears too unorthodox so far. He's looking at the builds on the Hunters. Smek running the Death Toll Sprint 3 Rush, whereas Zapman is going to be picking up that Heartseeker rank 2 That, of course, the morning star of speed. And so it's going to be a little bit of a different proposition, I believe.
Big rotation here, but not going to pay off. Banish on Zalia. Does he have his jump first? Looks like he does not. Creepy Curse. Level 2 picks it up and jumps into the tower. Suntouch takes some harassment. This is actually very, very big. He drops low there, but the big thing is now he has to go home. He's going to fall behind experience. He's going to fall behind in gold. Now, if he stays here, he's a liability. He needs to have pounds.
Yeah, that's right. And Lasses has a pretty tough choice to make here. You'll notice he doesn't have a buff just yet. He's going to go back in for the kill. It looks like they want to at least pressure the lane a bit more, but I think the play here may be to go steal the red from Suntouch, knowing he has to go back.
Dashing away, and Pale's not going to land on Zaman and push him out. Look at the pressure from C9 here, zoning them off their own blue buff. There hasn't been a single blue buff on the left side. In fact, 3 blue buffs are still up right now. The amount of aggression is insane.
Yeah, the jockeying for position so far in this early game has been really, you know, a little bit different than what we see in normal games. I mean, this is 100%. I've never seen anything like this before, where you see those buffs so heavily contested and zoned out by both teams. I mean, you got to figure that it was the early hand of the God Juice by Suntouch in the right side lane to proc Zalia's level 2 to get the leap out. I mean, that was a very, very smart play by Suntouch there to save Zalia. But it does, of course, slow down his ability to farm or secure camps, which is generally what you see the Hog picked up for.
Oh, absolutely. The Hog is guaranteed. It's compulsory. You have to have it in the early stages of the game. You're not going to be able to clear the jungle quickly or also safely. Of course, you can't guarantee that last hit on the minions to be able to get the buff. And of course, there goes a blue buff picked up on the left side for C9. Right side, some aggression come down on Antonio. There goes the jump. Bakasura, true strike coming through. Butcher Blades, but gets back in the tower in time. And Antonio is A-okay, but needs to be careful here. Level 5, he's going to throw up all over him and eat him for dinner.
Heartseeker finished on Zapman, level 3, 2 minutes into the game. Stacks are going to start building up, and this is where we're going to see the Guardians begin to rotate heavily. You can see Shadow Q and Murder just off the left side of the mid lane having a little bit of a slap fight there, Dry Bear. And this one is looking like it's going to be a bit ponderously paced, at least throughout most of the map, where I think actually kind of uniquely in this game, you'll see a lot of action in the solo lane as Zalia and Anatoly both have a lot of kill potential. That's
right. Now, what I'd like to see right now is have Bastet in the left lane. Now, Zapman, no sprint, nothing. He doesn't have an ultimate, he's not level 5. Bastet has a wonderful opportunity to take him down before he gets that early gold start with those cats coming out. Of course, Suntouch not level 5 yet, but the second he gets there, I would imagine he want to go over and take down Zapman, because you look at the build between the two hunters here. Smek has sprint 3, he hasn't even started his Heartseeker yet, not even going down that road, and he may not even pick it up at this point, but full Heartseeker on Zapman, able to get some stacks up for himself, so he's looking pretty strong. In fact, looking at 2 damage outputs from both these characters, Zapman is currently sitting at 33 versus Smek, who's at 15.
You know, I think that maybe this is Smek is going to be picking up either a Devourer's Glove or go for damage items to build into a Blood Fort a bit later. And I think that they're looking at their team and they're saying, okay, Dignitas has a dual core heal comp. Chalk obviously can sustain himself very well. Rob brings the AoE heals to the team. I think they're a little bit worried about extended team fights, so they want to pick up perhaps a more lifesteal focused item for Smek, either the Devourer's Gloves or the Blood Forge, as I mentioned, to kind of bridge that gap.
Well, you're looking at Onher, one of the characters that, you know, as far as hunters go, one of the biggest damage outputs in the right lane. Zalia, let me just hold that thought. Trouble here, creeping curse sprint, can't get the takedown, blocked by the rock, he's going nowhere, jumps in the jungle, can he get away? There goes the hit, first blood, Dignitas!
Roman range, OP, there you see the archers chewing through him, trying to find the way to jump over. We have an engagement on the left side lane, Zapman is going to fall to the gank from Suntouch, just as you mentioned. You are clairvoyant there, rotating over. He gets the ultimate, but doesn't channel it in time and will go down. And look how aggressive Zapman's build is. He hasn't even started boots. He went straight for the light blade.
Lassus up in the air. He's on fire, melting his skin, looking for Sio. Gonna get it! It's kill for kill for kill.
Oh, look for over the wall. Bastet looking for the hand. Not going to find it. Not up, but I think Suntouch actually stole both of those with in-hand attacks. Well played by the Cloud9 jungler.
Wow.
But the best on Ra, picking up an early kill over Sile. Sile struggled today, in fact, falling more times than characteristic in the early parts of the game. In the last game that we saw Cloud9 play.
Oh, looking for something in mid lane. There's the Towel Assault to drop him low. Murder in trouble. Sirik!
Oh, what a shot!
Not enough! Can't get Suntouch down. What a shot, though.
Oh, Zapman's going deep for this one. He's coming in. Will he find it? No, he's going to go back to the left side lane. Knows it's not going to be in time, but man, got my heart rate up on that one.
I felt it. I felt it deep in my loins on that one. Apollo Play by Zapman, left side, kind of farming up here. Not even going for activize right now. Very, very greedy build. Going for the light blade, of course. Going to stack up that early life steal as he often does. Draining blade to follow in suit. And Pale going to come out from Smec. Not going to land this time around. Now I want to talk a little bit about this solo lane here. Since Zalia went down early, so there's the Storm Call avoided by the jump. Good play there by Zalia. But again, Zalia likes playing Bakasura against bruiser/tank type characters like Chalk. But with that early kill from Anatoly, he's not feeling as sharp.
Yeah, it looks like, he's going to have a pretty hard time over-aggressing this lane, like playing that normal Bakasura style, what he's looking for in the solo lane, which is to bully the bruiser with the true damage and kind of negate their protections. Anatoly in a bit of trouble here, though. Suntouch rotates in. Zalia getting zoned out a bit, though. Body block by the Cats. Going deep to Suntouch. Anatoly still going to fall to the damage. Just too much. Those minions taking the tower. Safely dove by Suntouch, the Cat Call, and the Bakasura Regurgitate minions doing a great job there and really showing you the power of this comp. The push that can come out of the Bastet Bakasura in any lane, they can take 2 towers before you can blink.
That's right. If you don't have enough people to gank the lane, just have children. Lots of Baka babies and lots of little cats coming out there, and he just can't keep up with the pressure. Even though he made it to his tower, it was just too much follow-up there, and you can see that Suntouch, he recognizes what Dignitas represents. He says, I have to guarantee this kill, and so he was leading Anatoly into the tower, knowing that I have to wait for a Razor Claw opportunity if it's there, because I can't let this kill go.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is an elimination game. The team that loses goes home. They're going to dive best in the mid lane is Cloud9. Dignitas best in a lot of trouble. Down he will fall to a brilliantly executed gank. They lock him down in the flame path from Sayo. Maybe a bit over-aggressive, not going to have to escape. Last is going to take to the air. 3, 4 shots. It's enough to clean up Sayo, the return kill from Team Dignitas. And now Zapman hunting for blood coming in as well. Shadow Q up in the air. Somersault Cloud going to come down shortly, doing a lot of damage and murder. There's a knockup. Do they have the Jingle Bang to seal the deal? No, it's so beautiful from Dignitas and Zapman.
Well, so beautiful. Comes through there, picking off the kill. Murderer goes down there. Great rotation from Dignitas. We're at 4-3 here, the 7-minute and 40-second mark. Look at the charts. We have a lead for Dignitas, 942 gold and 2200 experience. Right side lane, Anatoly, he's getting slapped on here by Zalia, but the damage output is a little bit too much, and the rain dance is actually starting to overcome the damage that Bakasura can deal. When you're doing this Bakasura solo, you want to try and shred them as quickly as you can, because when they hit that tanky mode, then all of a sudden you can't keep up with the amount of health that they have. Even with the Heartseeker, Anatoly is still very durable.
Yeah, the Rain Call doing a great job of keeping him alive there, and the Heartseeker is going to allow him to trade not evenly, but certainly a lot closer. And Chalk, of course, being the bruiser style, has a significantly higher base HP pool, so a close trade is a win for the bruiser.
Yeah, that's right. Mid lane, the best going up against Sayo. A 2-level differential here as Suntouch leads his way into the mid camp. Looking for a jump, but the best knows what's up. He says, hi, Suntouch. I saw you on stage earlier. I heard what you said. Get out of my lane. Get out of here. And he goes to the jungle and right over the left side mid camp here. Goldfrey is available, but no one can really go over there to contest anything. Right camp about to respawn. Looks like it will go the way of Dignitas.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing about all those summon minions. Gold Fury, very, very achievable in the early stages of the game with both a Bastet and a Bakasura on the team. The only thing you have to worry about is durability. I mean, their front line is only a bruiser. It's only murder, and Guan Yu, not the tankiest target.
Sure.
Really, in any respect, actually one of the least durable warriors, I think.
Zapman in trouble. There goes the stun, but beats out perfectly. One more shot, he'll do it. He's moving. He says it. Can he do it? He can't do it.
But they may have overextended because here comes Shadow Q. Does he have the damage to deal with Smec? Smec is going to beat off the Warriors will, but will still go down to a cat form if it hits. Looks like Best going to chase him back into the tower. Down will fall Smec. Murder going to get out of there clean. A smart split by C9. They knew that Smec was forfeit at that point. Might as well split Murder off and save his life. Chalk getting aggressive in the mid lane. He's going to pop sprint and the creeping curse under tower on Sayo. No dash available. Silence. Auto attacks coming through. Does he have enough? The final meteor not going to save his life. Down will fall Sayo, but here comes Suntouch.
Cat's coming out on last. His body block him in place. Going up there looking for that damage out on Suntouch. It's going to be enough, but Murder is here following up. He has no ultimate. Great banish will slow him down there. Now Shadow Q pulling up. There's the hit from the Jingle Bang. Do a little bit of damage. Last is Pulse. Irradiate. Still off.
Zapman.
Landing on top. Murder dropping low. They're going to get it.
And that is exactly what we were talking about in the pregame. These gods are tanky. They can go invulnerable. They can buy a lot of time. And when you have an Apollo, that is a very, very valuable asset. Gold Fury attempt now coming out from Team Dignitas. Looking to disrupt it is Cloud9. Zaylia turning the corner, but banished very brilliantly there by Lassus. It sets up a nice burst from the best. They can't really commit or convert that, but they do find the early Gold Fury, giving Dignitas a 3,700 gold lead through the first 10 minutes of this game.
Ace Fatalis now completed here for it. Zaylia going to have a lot of attack speed and also movement speed from this. Hasn't selected his second active item just yet. Now going to go for boots, more movement speed to add to the coffers for him. Penetration boots picked up by Last is going to go the way of Hasten Fatalis himself. The best going for a very utilitarian-based build here with Shoes of Focus right into Breastplate of Valor for that physical protection. He's a little bit worried about, number one, Murder, of course, who's going to be in the mid lane a lot. Zaylia rotating over, and then Sun Touch, who's also in the mid lane. A lot of physical protection will make a big difference. In fact, they're running a 4 physical setup here on C9, so great pickup there by the Best.
Yeah, Best, finishing that Breastplate of Valor, of course. I mean, the cooldown reduction is really what you're looking at on that item. Everything else it gives you is just cake, and those happen to be amazing. 75 physical protection and the 550 mana, just making him so resilient and so sustainable in the team fights, has a lot of spells at his disposal. A key pickup, I would say, even in this game, because now it means that the Ra is going to be very difficult to gank, or at least will take a tremendous amount of time, once again, making time for that Apollo rotation.
That Apollo rotation has been working out so far. We're going to see some slap going down on the right side. Zaylia looking to do some damage, but again, Anatoly has hit his stride, and he's very durable. Of course, Chalk being a bruiser, he gains a lot more HP and protections per level than Bakasura, who's considered an assassin. So he needs to be a little bit more specific on when he decides to jump on Anatoly, because just some harassment's not going to do it. Rain Dance heals him a lot. Of course, he has the slow mechanic on top of that. Here's Sun Touch, but Anatoly already back towards his tower. Left lane, we're going to see Zapman spotting out Murder in the jungle. Great coverage of vision for C9 on the left side of the map, especially in front of the Gold Fury, as we see Shadowq also rotating back over. We got a 2v2 lineup here. You know, there's a lot on the table right now. And of course, we've already had 2 teams eliminated in this tournament, and neither teams really want to be the next one to go out. But with a 3,700 gold lead here for Dig in the first round of this best-of-3 matchup, they got to be feeling confident.
You know, I think that the gold lead is certainly significant, but it's the experience lead that's really making the difference in this game. You see Anatoly and Best both sitting at level 14, Best nearly 15, where the highest level on Cloud9 is 12. That equates to a 5,500 experience lead. We're going to have an engagement just off the Gold Fury here. Last is over pursuing just a bit. Sun Touch going to dump the damage that he can, but I don't think there's an opportunity for a kill here for Cloud9. Where is that Apollo rotation? You got to wait for Zapman to take to the skies. Doesn't look like there's going to be too much.
Zapman wants to fight. Looking for Sun Touch. Zaylia. Will it be Bakasura? It will. It needs Storm Call. Gets avoided. Now jumping over towards the tower. It's not going to be up. Creeping Curse. Finger Bang. The shots are coming out, but Zaylia has to come out here. Zapman's using those fingers the best he can. But there it is, Sun Touch. That damage is going to be real. He jumps back out, but here comes Murder on the horse. Stunning on Zapman. Talison gets interrupted. Sun Touch going down. Zapman's still alive. Murder up in the air. He's going down as well. Double kill for Shadowq. Desert Fury coming through. Spec on the ground, jumping towards the tower. Freya doesn't have the distance. Searing Pain's gonna get it. The snipe.
Wow, that's a 4-player wipe, maybe 5 as Shadowq's going into the tower. He finds the stun. This is gonna be a team wipe. Zaylia gonna barely make it out. Best did not have the spell off cooldown to secure that kill, but he's gonna go deep. Is that gonna hit through the wall? No, barely not. Best. Bit of a cheeky play there, looking for the kill in the base, but this is a tremendously early tier 2 tower, and this is on the Fire Giant side, meaning that rally points for Cloud9 HyperX are falling quickly, and an early Fire Giant could be very real possibility for Team Dignitas.
It's very strange to see the first 2 towers of the game be in the same lane for the same team, tier 1 and tier 2, taking on the right side, the solo lane for C9. It really just comes down to the fact that what they're doing is they're leveraging Anatoly's presence. Anatoly was pressuring the tier 2 tower, and you saw Zapman was up there and he's deciding, do I want to go for the Sun Touch, who, you know, he's at like 500 HP, I can kill him, or Zaylia, who's a little bit less. He went for Zaylia because Anatoly was in the area. Now they're bringing themselves together. They're bringing the fight to Chalk, and that's working so well for them.
Yeah, another thing to note here, Sayo 1 and 4 in the mid lane as that Agni still has yet to pick up an active item, and this is something that we were being critical of in his build in the last matchup we saw them in, is not buying the defensive items, not buying perhaps the combat blink beads combination, or even a sprint just to help out a bit here with the slows, as honestly Anatoly's Creeping Curse has been the player of the game so far.
Oh, popping up with the oldest Murder, not going to just use it to escape at this point. Rotation coming out from Dignitas, looking for the kill. Shadowq ends early with that cat. looking for rotation in the mid lane. Sayo hanging out there, grouping well, but, look at this pressure from Zapman. Looking for Smack on the left side. The Impale comes out there. So beautiful. Desert Fury, Buckets through a Zapman. The Serenade.
Oh, Smek snipes him right down with that in-hand attack, but Zapman made a lot of space for his team. This is going to be another tower for Team Dignitas. Granted, they probably would have preferred that be Shadow Q that deep, doing that type of damage, giving up a kill on the Wukong instead of your ranged carry. But yeah, it's just not stylish enough for Team Dignitas. They're going to run Zapman deep there. They're going to find the mid tower, and I think they're just looking to bully Cloud9 out of this game now. With a 7,000 gold lead, they're going to keep on pressuring towers and force them to fight.
Now, you're looking at Tier 3 Hand of the Gods on both supports here. Last hasn't decided whether he wants Fist or Wrath of the Gods just yet. Same thing goes for Zaylia and Sundouch. With 3 Hand of the Gods, honestly, when you're this far behind, you can even get a Tier 3 Hand of the Gods on Zaylia.
Murder in a lot of trouble. Anatoly wants to find the kill. Rain Dance, that's going to be a kill for Anatoly. Soloing down the enemy Guardian. No Hand of the Gods available. Objectives coming back up. This could be a great timing for Team Dignitas.
Smek jumping over the wall, then it pushes left side of the lane. Gold Fury is available, you're exactly right. And, without that Hand of the Gods, they gotta go for it. Nothing C9 can do except try to snipe it out, but, with no Desert Fury, with no big burst, single source of damage, they can't do anything. Gold Fury goes to Team Dignitas, making their gold lead 8,400.
They're now hunting for kills, swarming through Cloud9's side of the map. They have great control. The warding is very, very widespread. They're investing that lead into vision and into things that will allow them to continue to snowball. For example, Anatoly has his Magi's Blessing finish over the height of the Urchin. A little bit more of a let's stay strong now rather than be stronger in 10 minutes type of item purchase.
Sure. I mean, obviously you want to buy it up. He has the Magi's Blessing now, and Chalk just Anatoly realizes, I don't want to get caught out by anything. I can prevent the slow, I can prevent the initiation, I can prevent Guanyu from coming in and stunning me out, and that kind of interrupt to the CC chain is very important for a character like Chalk because he wants to be in front, and if he gets stopped from going in, he's not going to get a good placement on Stormcall because they'll recognize him and they'll scatter. So he wants to be able to prevent the first thing that hits him when he lands on C9 to get a great 3-second silence on that Stormcall as well as a lot of damage and possibly even a knock-up if he has the Thunderstrike nearby. Now, Suntouch is going to go for this hammer here. The Warrior's Bane looking to pick up a lot of penetration on top of his boots, as well as the Jotun's Wrath. The CDR is on top as well. There's a lot of control here from Dignitas. And C9, if they want to go forward, they're going to get some picks. Here's a 4-for-4 possibility left side. Suntouch is getting bursted hard. Best is in trouble though. Last is getting low up in the air. The burst on side. 1, 2, 3, 4. There goes Sayo on the backside. Double kill for Lassus. Zaps in the air. They're dunked from above. Zapman coming in. Smek goes down. Lassus will die. There's Zaylia murder.
DSI Driver! Surrender mode coming out. 18 minutes into the game. Dignitas pushes Cloud9 HyperX out of game number 1 in style.
Wow. Wow. What a decisive victory. We
Absolutely.
don't see that many of games that are just so cut and dry, right? The beginning of that wasn't strong. Dignitas had a slow game, and then they just snapped. The aggression went up a bit. They started pushing as hard as they could, getting the kills they can. All of a sudden, every fight went their way, and the gold gain was high momentum. But we have a team of analysts to go deeper into that. We're going to shoot it over to them at the Analyst Alienware desk. Over to you, Trendkill.
Thank you, gentlemen. We are live in Atlanta, Georgia at the Smite launch tournament. I'm sitting here with DM Brandon this time, Lionheart, DJ Pernicus. We just saw our first surrender, guys. What?
I did not expect that to happen. I didn't think anyone was going to surrender this weekend.
No.
Game 1, though, sometimes maybe you just want to cut your losses, not get frustrated, go to Game 2 with a fresh face, a fresh look on things, and just try to do something differently.
It was a powerful deicide coming out from Team Dignitas. I mean, very convincing fashion. And I think the pace of the game, you're really going to see it's going to come back to that first blood footage, which we'll go over in a moment. But you kind of saw Zaylia started out over in the solo lane, and there's just a very standard gank coming onto him from Dignitas. We're going to see that right here now. Where you can see Zaylia there. Freya comes around, Anatoly comes around. Look, this is the moment. He's trying to jump, and he can't jump. He's panicking. He's trying to get the targeter over there. He finally gets it, but he stays in the Roman range too long, takes too much aggro from the minions, and goes down. And he never gets started after that, right? Think about all the games where we've seen Cloud9 do very well. You think Zaylia's name, right? Playing Bakasura, playing Ymir, he's always kind of in the back line. He bullies his lane, and then he takes that to the team fight. But after that, there wasn't anything.
You know, I think that honestly is, like you said, emotions. That's panic. You can see him. He's running towards the wall. He's running away from it. He's running towards the wall. He's running away from it. And he's looking for that option. And Xaylia is a player that, when you discuss the best players in the world, he's one of the first names that comes to mind. So when you're playing for $200,000 in front of tens of thousands of people, you get nervous.
Yeah, and Pernicus and Lionheart, I heard you guys talking during the picks and ban stage, and you guys continued talking about that into the game. So obviously it was important. We want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I think we've seen that Dig, whenever they have the first pick, they almost always want to keep chalk on the board and want to pick him ultimately. So what EU did in Cloud9 in particular, they kind of wanted to pick Bakasura as a counter, and it worked very effectively. We see that Xaylia played against Wolfie in an earlier game and had great success. Here it wasn't as successful. We saw Anatoly build a lot differently after I think he probably took notes on that game. He said, you know what? Wolfie decided to build a Witchstone. He decided to build anti-attack speed items, right? Because Baka has true damage on his 3. But here, we saw a Heartseeker. We saw a Death Toll start, and ultimately, it was just too much damage for the Bakasura to deal with. And the heal, we have to put into account that the heal scales.
Yeah.
It's not just a flat heal. It's not just a Hercules, the damage you take, it goes back to you. It actually scales with the Heartseeker, and the Rain Dance really was just too much for the Bakasura.
And let's go back to the picks and bans, because we just saw top gods played for both teams, and there was one character that was on there for both teams, Wukong.
Yeah.
And Wukong was available. Dignitas picked it up. They used it to great success, but it could have been picked up by Cloud9. They picked Bakasura as their 3rd pick, and I don't think when you think about picks and bans, that's something that's going to get drafted by Team Dignitas. They just really don't run that, and so I think that could have been a last pick, and they could have potentially taken that Wukong away from Dignitas, and both teams are very comfortable with it. So to have that extra pressure and the extra presence in your team fight and the crowd control that he brings would have been very useful.
Not to mention, Anatoly already had chalk on the board. They didn't need to counter pick in 3rd or 4th slot. They could have saved that until last and picked up priority picks. Every time we've seen Murder play Sun Wukong, it's been great. And to give that away might have been a misstep.
Yeah, I think we're going to look at the fight that ended the game right now. DM, you want to cast this for us?
Man, this is all Anatoly, a name that we're not saying enough. I mean, he's just, once he gets himself in there, now you see Lassus doing the damage, he lands with the Aegis. Now watch my man Anatoly as he comes in here. Zap jumps in, here comes the damage. The best able to get a few things done, but Anatoly's just Rain Dance, controlling. He gets the ultimate off for the silence, and by that point, there's nowhere to go.
Right.
I think we need to be raising our Anatolys here. We're not saying his name enough this weekend, and he has been a major part of their wins every step of the way.
One of the things to notice, too, about that last fight that we saw there, and I think this was a pace that was set in a number of engagements throughout the entire course of the match, is that the engagement was started by Dignitas. They came in, they controlled it. So you see Xaylia in the backlines with the Bakasura ult, but he's coming in late after his teammates are dying. Bastet, she jumped in, Sun Touch, got blown up almost instantly. So you could see that they were controlling the pace of the fights, they were choosing when to come in, and here's Anatoly right there on the screen. I mean, a phenomenal player. The crowd control, the chalk pick, I mean, it worked out well. And how many times did we see somebody trying to run away and they were caught in the rain and they just couldn't get out? And he was very smart about picking up 2 kind of team support abilities, right? You saw the sprint early on, but you also saw the creeping curse as well.
It was the same, too, for offense. When maybe you say you couldn't get out, Xaylia was also getting slowed inside when he was attacking, and he was just shutting down the Fatalis, he was shutting down the Butcher's Blades. Right. And, yesterday we talked about how Bakasura is going to counter chalk. Maybe Anatoly found the answer.
Yeah, and I think it's also a matter of, matchups. I think some people are quick to say, oh, this team is the best team overall.
Yeah.
But I think it's important, there might be one team plays better against another team. It's not that they're better than all the other teams. Anatoly had a hard time against other, solo laners yesterday when they lost to TSM, obviously.
Yeah.
But today, it looks like he's much more comfortable. Maybe it's just something about the playstyle of Xaylia that he feels more suited to play against.
Then again, it could be the fact that this is loser's bracket or lower bracket. The person who loses this set is done. And Dignitas plays very, very well under pressure. Right. They get stronger, especially Zapman, because he has that hunger. Lassus, too.
Yeah, DM, I want to point out, we saw some early jungle strategy. And you went kind of crazy over it.
I did. I fanboyed so hard.
So I want you to explain what happened, and then I want to answer Did that set the pace for the game?
It might have. I mean, a lot of it kind of fell to Zalia with the wall jump and kind of missed it. But in the very beginning, we saw Lassus go for solo blue buff on his side.
Right.
Something that we almost never see. He's the jungler. He doesn't need that. Shock goes for the mid camp, picks up the blue on the way there, and then they control the lane from there on. They hit 2 very soon. They almost got away. Luckily, a Hand of the Gods was used to ensure that they got level 2 on Cloud9's side, and Zaylee was able to get out of there. That was almost first blood right there.
Right.
And that new strategy, maybe we've seen it in casuals, a couple times in ranked, but in tournament, that is a new strategy, and it worked extremely well.
Both of these teams are kind of like trains. Once they get started, they're very hard to stop.
Yeah.
If they take the early game, they get the momentum, and you don't see a lot of back and forth after that. This time it was Dignitas that was able to take the momentum, and you were able to see that through early kills. Now, speaking of early kills, Cloud9 HyperX actually did good. Bastet, she was 3-0 by 8 minutes in. She had a presence, but we also noticed that she was a little bit under-leveled because she spent so much time ganking.
And what I was alluding to earlier was, we talked about the time difference from EU to NA. We are on home soil for the American teams, and it looks like SunTouch is much more comfortable today. Maybe he got fresher, he's just fresher from better sleep. Who knows? But it's night and day difference between yesterday and today.
That's true.
Absolutely. And guys, we're getting ready to go to Game 2, Team Dignitas versus Cloud9 HyperX. We're throwing it back to the casters, guys.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to game number 2. Team Dignitas up 1-0 over Cloud9 HyperX, and it was a spectacular victory. How can the boys from Europe rally back from that one?
It's the same thing they did yesterday against Smite. The first game, Smite shut them out, outright. And the biggest thing is that they were playing a little greedy. They were trying to rush, Sile likes getting his rod really quickly. He likes to go for the greedy builds or maybe the early ganks. And I think it's the same thing we saw on day 1. SunTouch wasn't as versatile. It wasn't all over the map doing the damage he needed. He was there, but the cats weren't as effective as what you expect, and also the builds were a little bit more greedy. So when it started to not go their way, it fell apart.
That's right, yeah. If you go for that greedy build and then it falls apart, it really goes fast. I mean, the Jotunsrath Rash on Bastet, we've seen it a few times, but I don't think we've seen it win so far. If it hasn't been a hyper-aggressive item on Bastet, that team has generally lost. The Jotunsrath or even the Height of the Urchin picked up early in a couple of games has just led to Bastet being ineffective against any kind of sustain.
That's it. I mean, Bastet really needs to get in there and use that. Bans are coming out now. Zeus and Odin banned out yet again by Dignitas. Nemesis banned out here by C9. Their next ban is going to be curious because I want to see what they're going to go with. It could be the last one. Tier was the last ban that they went through, and there it is. So there's the same bans across the board for both teams. Nothing different, but first pick, Chalk's available. Dignitas.
Cloud9 chose second pick here. They lost the first game.
Right.
They chose to take second pick,
and
second
same
ban.
bans, there's the Chalk. It's going to go again.
So they haven't locked it in just yet, but I suspect that they're trying to decide if they want Chalk or Freya.
Sure.
Oh, maybe it is going to be the Freya. I don't know. I think that it's 6 and 1, 1/2 the other here. The only thing is that Chalk can be effective against Freya, so that may be the reason that you would pick it. But it is going to be Freya locked in, and that likely going to the jungle for Lasses.
There goes the Chalk. Immediately Murder just hops on that train right now. Ra locked in as well. Ra was not banned out, so it looks like we're going to have a very interesting time. Now, this is actually a little bit ambiguous because the play styles for these players are a little bit different. SunTouch may want to take on Chalk in the jungle. We know Ra for Zalia, that's a guarantee. I think it's going to be going to Zalia, unless Sion wants to take it, but Sion doesn't really like Ra all that much. So, going to solo lane, but Chalk is kind of a toss-up here on what they want to do since it's not going to solo lane. Looks like Agni's hovered on here for the best. He likes it. He's going to go with it.
Yeah, we may, it's still a potential here that we will see the, actually, funnily enough, what DJ Pernicus' team tends to run recently, D2F there. They run that, a sustained-based solo lane and then Chalk in the jungle. And then when they start to roam through maybe the 20-minute part of the game, it just becomes unstoppable because you can't shut the Chalk down. Of course, they run that with an Aphrodite, but I wouldn't be surprised necessarily to see Cloud9 draft that. I'm not sure if Aphrodite's in Zalia's God pool, but it is a very effective strategy if you can build Glass Cannon Chalk and rely on other gods to sustain him.
Oh, absolutely. He can do a lot of damage, especially with that Storm Call jumping down. The Thunder Strike is just such a great poke. Torrent hitting really hard as well. And, when you're looking at these kind of players and what they decide to do, there's the Honor spec. He's just Honor. He is on her for the weekend. Geb locked in here for the SunTouch is going to be going over to Murder. Very curious to see this. Go back over to Dignitas. Now we got Sun Wukong. Great pickup here. This is most likely going to be going to Shadow Q.
Absolutely.
He loves Sun Wukong. The thing about Shadow Q on Sun Wukong is he likes playing a little aggressive. He likes getting Warrior Top E. He likes getting the early build of Heavenly Agility and just getting in your face and doing damage. Combine that with Apollo, who's safe by himself. We may see a lot of pressure in mid lane.
Oh, Dry Bear. They're going to lock in Aphrodite here.
Aphrodite.
That means that Sun Wukong will be your solo laner up against what is likely to be a chalk. Maybe not a counter pick style of matchup as you would see with Bakasura, but Sun Wukong very capable of dealing with pretty much anything in the game. And we're going to see Dignitas try to run their Apollo Aphrodite lane yet again. Looks like it is going to be the Isis locked in
Shock jungle.
for Sayo here, which means we're going to have a... It's going to be
Shock jungle.
It's going to be Chalk Jungle, I would imagine.
That's it.
Yeah, they are. They rotated it over to Suntouch. So Chalk Jungle going to be the name of the game here with Geb as well. But this is a very, very high damage output team for Team Dignitas.
They're not. They're not swapping. This is a solo Aphrodite.
Oh, it is solo
This is
Aphrodite.
Solo Aphrodite. Sun Wukong is going to be logged in for Shadow Q as a support. We're going to see raw Aphrodite.
Wow, that is risky.
It's going to be a lot of heals. And we've seen Shadow Q on Aphrodite before, of course, with the highlight clip wiggling around. And we know what Aphrodite can bring to the table. That ultimate, amazing. You can prevent a lot of damage output. There's a lot of burst damage over there on C9 as well. You can pop the ultimate for circle protection from Isis. Of course, you can pop it for the ultimate for Desert Fury on her as well. So I'm curious to see what Anatoly does with Aphrodite.
Well, you know, the danger of Aphrodite for the enemy team, if you're going up against Aphrodite and you let her get 6-slotted, you've pretty much lost the game at that point. Because if she has the sovereignty, you can't burst her, plus the Magi's, plus the Winged One, and you can't lock her down at all. It is a very, very tough proposition to stop. A push, if they get a single pick, you could very well lose all of your structures or an objective very, very easily. Of course, Aphrodite, there is risk associated with that if you can lock her down. It is tough. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at the game here. Team Dignitas versus Cloud9 HyperX. Take a look here. This is actually what Anatoly is seeing right now. This game, of course, is a third-person mobile. We'll be watching it from the spectator client. Driver, if you would be so kind.
Let's cover the teams on the bottom side of the map. The victors from last game. Team Dignitas, Anatoly on Aphrodite, taking the solo lane, the best in the middle lane with Agni Zapman. He's playing Apollo. Last is in the jungle with Freya, and Shadow Q plays with Sun Wukong.
Over on the Chaos side, they are the red team fighting out of the right side of your mini-map. Cloud9 HyperX. It's going to be Zalia in the solo lane as Ra. Sayo, your mid laner, is Isis, Smek, and Murder combining for the On Her and Geb duo lane. And Suntouch will be Chuck in the jungle.
Zapman kind of staring at Geb here, seeing if he can't get something, but a three-man rotation over to the blue buff. Maybe they're looking to get an early start. Impale is most likely selected at this point if they want to get some aggression out, but more of just kind of presence, just being there, forcing them into the corner. Of course, Zapman and Shadow Q. Last game, we forgot to mention this, but they actually went for the Harpies first and then the blue buff, and that was what led to them losing the blue buff in the first place. So I wonder if they're going to go for the Harpies again. Now, of course, I'm talking about the back Harpies before the Tier 2 towers, where you get a little gold. Now, this is a little bit greedy on their setup. They look for the Harpies and the blue buff, but they're not going to go into this game. They don't want to deal with the landing phase where they don't have a blue buff for 2-3 minutes. They're going to go straight for a blue buff, pick it up, and have a solid lane.
I do want to point out yet again, it's going to be Zapman with the Heartseeker rush, straight and empty. And it's going to be a little bit of a delayed Heartseeker for Smek yet again, so we'll see if that has the same effect in this next game.
A little bit different, though. Last time he did just Death's Toll and rushed full sprint because he was going up against Bastet. I'm sorry, he had Bastet there. He just wanted to have the distance there. But this time around, he's going for a little bit Death's Toll there. Mid lane,
look at
Isis
Best.
coming in. The Best in trouble. Basic attacks. Spirit
Zion!
Ball. First blood, Cloud9.
First blood, ladies and gentlemen, the Logitech first blood taken in a 1v1 in the mid lane by Sayo. Best just, I mean, that was such a misplay.
Yeah, it was a little bit too far forward. And honestly, that's what happens when you try to go for the back dash. Oh, right lane. Look for some harassment here on Lassus. There's the donk from Anatoly, that kiss coming out there. And honestly, the best thing about having Aphrodite solo is anytime the jungle comes over, free heals.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is. Oh, man. The Freya out of the jungle, probably one of the most effective gankers in the game, given how bursty mid lane mages generally are. The Banish almost always sets up, in the case of Agni, multiple Meteor Chain. In the case of a Ra or Ao Kuang, any kind of large burst damage style ultimate, almost a guaranteed hit. As kind of uniquely to Smite, when you're falling, it's very difficult to kind of change your trajectory.
Can he get away here? Going to roll out just in time. A lot of harassment left side. Zapman and Shadow Q doing some pushing, making sure Smek and Murder are put on their back foot. There goes the best in the mid lane, going to find Suntouch. Now, Suntouch playing Chalk jungle. He doesn't play this very often. He's not very comfortable with this, but he has been practicing it recently, so he knows how to do it. And I think he just recognized how strong Chalk is. But speaking of Chalk, rotate to the left side, going to find Shadow Q. There's the rollout. Impale on Zapman. Shockwave, dashing away. Zapman going to the jungle. Can he get away from this one? They're not even following up on this. Isis is here. Sayo. No hit on the stun. There's the Wingus, and Zapman goes down.
They take out Zapman. That's going to delay that Heartseeker. Taking a look at his in-hand gold, only 819. Not going to be quite enough to finish it off and pick up a sprint or more regen, I think. Oh, no, he is. He's actually going to try to run this very lean Heartseeker finish and only one green pot to try to stay in this lane. Generally, you see players look for a bit more sustain coming off of that finished Heartseeker to try to stay in the lane and maximize stacks.
That's exactly right. I mean, getting as many stacks as you can. You just have 720 gold. If you're rushing it, go home, pick it up, come back, get those stacks, and have as much damage as you can before the fights break out. Now, blue buff for Dignitas will be up in just about a minute or so, making sure that they picked it up very efficiently. Of course, they don't want to be invaded as they did last time. Looking at the chart, we're going to see a very slight lead for C9 so far. Of course, they have first and second blood. 480, 500 now gold in favor of C9. First blood, of course, was on the best in the mid lane. Of course, Zapman after that. So if your first and second kill of the game are on the Hunter and the Mage,
yeah, you're pretty happy.
They're happy.
And I do want to point out here that it is really, really disciplined by Cloud9 to be able to come out and play this type of game, right? Make big plays, make the right choices in a lot of cases here through the first 3 minutes of the game after conceding in 18 minutes to Team Dignitas. I mean, that had to be a huge blow to morale, but the composure they were able to bring back to the table, very, very nice, very respectable by Cloud9 HyperX.
Yeah, the biggest thing here is Sayo, again, now going to do his game 2 strategy. He likes rushing Rod. I mean, last time we watched him, he finished Rod immediately. It was his second item. Now he's going to finish Boots. He realizes that's what he has to do in game 2. Last is going to try and steal a damage buff, not able to do it though. There goes Suntouch. See if he can't torrent in, realizing that Shadow Q is there, and of course now looking to jump into his own doom. Right lane, we have 2 healers, Aphrodite and Ra going head to head. It seems like Zalia's getting the better end of this though, as of course the birds have a slow tick and of course are very slow. And then the Solar Blessing from Ra just kind of hits on top, keeps the wave up, and also does a lot of damage. So it seems like Aphrodite is on the second end of the clear. Zalia clears away first, and then follows up there. Initiation here in the mid lane.
Oh, the ban is coming in. Here's the Spirit Ball over the wall. Meteor's raining in. They're going to try to burst down Murder here, and it looks like they're going to find him. Team Dignitas rotates Zapman as well for that kill, and they are on the board.
Not going for Gold Fury, though. They actually have Tier 2 Hand of the Gods. That's a 10% execute on Gold Fury, and C9 doesn't have it. Surprised to see they're not going to go for it. But it's 4 minutes, 45 seconds in the game. Play it safe. Can I get it back into the game here? Look at the charts. They are now in the lead by 200 golds. They pulled that back from C9. Mid camps will be their next goal. Make sure they're getting that kind of lead, trickling little by little until it actually becomes very substantial. Now crossing the 5-minute mark. There was a blue buff being dropped here on the left side of the map for Zapman, who can run back and get it. But so far, it's been very back and forth.
Yeah, unable to take the Gold Fury there, I think primarily because of a lag.
Zapman in trouble. Guttering away, dashing forward there. There's the Desert Fury, and a great recovery there from Shadow Q.
Yeah, I was saying I think that it's primarily a problem if they don't have enough penetration to really get through the Gold Fury's base defense at this point. They certainly probably have the damage with Apollo's passive to do it, but it would just take so long. They would be able to execute, but you'd probably get punished pretty heavily for it. In that solo lane, Anatoly has been forced back, picking up some items. It's going to be the cooldown boot rush for the Aphrodite. Zalia still holding on to quite a bit of gold in hand to the tune of 2,150. Looking over in the left side lane here, Drybear. Murder in a bit of trouble. Looks like it's going to be pursued by Shadow Q. He's knocked up under tower. A very, very clever play there by Smek to stop any more pursuit from Shadow Q.
And his first knock-up was right on point, preventing them chasing. Jingle Bang was not off cooldown, so he wasn't able to hit that there, but it was a few seconds away, so he could have followed in pursuit, hit the Geb, and then, of course, get the kill there. Stone Shield not available at that time. Sile looking to rotate somewhere here. The damage buff is not anywhere near coming back up. Looks like he's just seeing if there's a ward. Actually, he's warding up his own damage buff. He's not looking for any invades right now. And, good on C9, but recognize the fact that Last has been in their jungle more often than not.
So, we haven't really called Suntouch's name or Chalk much at all this game, and that is the danger of running Chalk jungle. He doesn't really bring much CC at all to the table. A slow and a silence, really his only tools to set up kills. Looking in the mid lane here, Best going to be in maybe a bit of trouble as there's 3 gods here, but he's playing this fairly passively, not going to go try to contest that left side camp. As Lassus rotates in as well, we'll have the brief 2v2 in the mid lane.
Now, this is actually quite amazing what happened here in the picky stage for Dignitas. They say, okay, initiation blink, there's a cataclysm, first damage, Lassus is gonna go down here. Chalk looking for the kill, and the best not gonna find it. Anatoly in the wings here, sprint activation from the best. There goes Shadow Q looking for a kill on Sio. There goes the hit, damage over the pop, the heal, it's there. 1, 2, the fingers are not gonna be enough. That can't get the distance there.
Oh, totally got him!
The burst, not enough. Anatoly goes to the backside.
He missed the birds, though, after setting up the stun. That's just a execution mistake there. Really pretty inexcusable. You had the stationary target hit a wonderful skill shot and couldn't follow it up with a pretty mundane cast there. Just a nice shot by Cloud9, swarming him, making him throw that ability perhaps a little bit earlier than he was ready for, and they are able to save their mid laner there. Nice play by Sio as well. Great positioning on that ultimate, keeping him alive and buying just enough time for the rotations.
Yeah, I love the fact that they position there, and then, you know, this is Dignitas' style. They like the aggression, but good on C9 for recognizing and getting a kill, and now looking that Charlotte's going to be back in favor of C9, but, you know, like I was mentioning with the picks, you have Aphrodite on the other side, and you're looking at Chalk, and you were mentioning that he doesn't have a whole lot of CC. Now, the best way to really kind of maximize the potential of Chalk is get a blink on him, blink in and Stormcold, and get that silence in, but because of Aphrodite, he's forced to get Weakening Curse.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Creeping Curse to shut down her healing. Plus, it does allow him, I mean, as we saw in the last game, Anatoly's Creeping Curse on Chalk was really the pivotal thing that allowed them to get so many of those kills on a Bakasura. So it is a very potent item on him, but I agree, you know, he's going to be rushing that a bit deeper down the active tree. Now it is, of course, the Creepier Curse. He will be going for the Weakening Curse most likely. Oh, and look at that. Zelia snipes a blue buff away from Dignitas. So Anatoly maybe going to have a bit of trouble sustaining in this lane. Maybe an opportunity for Cloud9 to find some tower damage on the right side.
What a great pickup there. Just going to leave it on the ground, of course, not able to pick it up just yet. Anatoly a little bit upset about the fact that the blue buff is gone. Mid camp on the left side is going to go to C9. Right camp looks like Sio's in the area waiting for it to respawn here. They're very similar in respawn times, about 5 to 10 seconds before this comes right back up. We have the best of mid lane, going to get hit by Sio. Damage output. Does he have a circle production? He's going to go in this. The best. Got that burst damage, dashing away, no follow-up. Sometimes in the area, but doesn't have the distance unless the best stands around. Does he have it? There goes the dunk. Storm call, the best goes down.
Mid lane, Lassus is in a lot of trouble, taking to the sky. Sio and Murder sticking to him. Suntouch is here as well. That is a dead Freya. Return kill coming right back out there. 6-1 now in favor of Cloud9 HyperX, and Dignitas seems a bit outmatched. I don't think they're getting much out of this Aphrodite.
Yeah, I mean, that last game they played off their soul lane, or this time they're not able to do it. They're bringing the fight away from the soul lane. It just doesn't seem like Aphrodite is bringing what they had last time, and really C9 just stepped up their game. This is what C9 does. They play greedy the first game. If it doesn't work, they reset, play the basics in the next game, game 2, and this is how it happens. This is what happened versus Smite. This is what's been happening all along for C9. They like to go big on the first one, and now they're pulling it back and playing standard, as of course big is not always going to work against Dig.
That's right. You know, the Anatoly rotation there, I think if he would have found that kill in the mid lane, we'd be having a much different game. He would have probably stayed there. They would have looked to push the tower, but instead, now they're kind of saying, okay, well, you know, we probably want this Aphrodite to just get really big. We need her to get tanky. We need a lot of magical power on her. Let's transition for more of a mid-game or late-game timing, and let's try to group up as 5, take fights and objectives, and once again, buy time for our Apollo with the Freya, Wukong, and now Aphrodite able to keep a single target alive as well.
Yeah, sure. Looks like Suntouch can go down the penetration route, picking up that hammer or the mace right away, and probably transition that into something a little bit stronger like Titan's Bane. But, you know, they just need to continue what they're doing. C9 seems to have hit a comfortable stride. They're controlling the mid camps. They're controlling the Gold Fury area. Gold Fury not taken just yet. Of course, still looking for that opportunity. Rotating over is going to be 4 members from Cloud9 HyperX. That man by himself surrounded. He does have his ultimate available, so it's very difficult to be able to take him out by yourself, especially as someone like Chalk. But unless he gets an ultimate silence off, Storm Call gets the silence, but Bees hit it. Going up in the air, and that's going to be enough.
And away he flies to safety there. Yeah, I mean, they do use a Storm Call there, so now Dignitas knows that ultimate is not available. They can try to force a fight, I think, on the back of that. But it looks like Cloud9 wants to mount a bit of a push here on the left side lane. Smek throwing in those javelins, doing quite a bit of damage. Shadow Q going to rotate around from the back, not wanting to take an aggressive angle. They're trying to rotate more in here to save this tower. Cloud9 now starting to fall back. Take a look over near the Gold Fury, where Murder and Sio trying to zone out the best, but it looks like the banish on Suntouch may be good for a kill. He is out of position here. Lassus looking for those bombs. There comes a teleport. Suntouch gets out of there. Really nice play.
There goes initiation coming out. The circle pressure is still on the ground. Sio hanging out. There goes Shadow Initiation, not going to find it there. Of course, scattering very well. Zapman coming in deep, Smack throwing out some shots there. Impaled to the wall. Shockwave knocks him up, but it's not enough damage. Suntouch in trouble in the jungle, running away. There goes that Searing Pain coming through. It's going to land, doing very minimal damage though as Sio just tries to get out, but they're going to get a kill on Suntouch. Now, I really want to talk about what Suntouch did there before he ended up going down is the fact that he threw out Thunderstrike. And you saw Elastic go up in the air looking to follow up where he was going to land, but Suntouch waited as long as physically possible to go there to
They found the banish onto Sio. Dry Bear is in a lot of trouble here. Down he will fall to the Flame Wave from the best. Zapman's not done yet. Shadow Q in the front line as well. They want to find a second. They're looking for murder. Do they have another bomb? It doesn't look like it. One more auto attack needed. I don't think Zapman's going to dive just that far just yet. Another thing Dry Bear to point out here, Divine Ruin completed for Anatoly.
That's exactly right. That's stopping the Raw as well as the Chalk. And of course, the ultimate from Isis as well. I mean, there's a lot of things to prevent there. There goes Initiation. Zayli gets dunked out. Do they have the cast sprint? Zapman wants it. He's going to get it. Going for the kill. Gonna get the kill. Dignitas, Gold Fury, and a kill.
Yeah, overcommitment there by Cloud9 without their tank. They didn't have Murder anywhere near. They forced him out of that last fight. Very, very smart play, and then capitalize on it quite nicely. Suntouch in a bit of trouble here. Just some harassment coming out. Actually going to need some birds and a Flame Wave as well. The Blink Initiation from Murder is down. No Cataclysm now. Dignitas likely to look for another fight soon, knowing that big teamfight ultimate is not going to be available.
Now, I'm a little curious as to why he ended up going for that one. You don't see Murder missing all too often. There's a Hand of the Gods missed as well. Seems like the nerves might be getting to Murder just a bit. Now we have a Chronos pendant picked up by Zalia, and I'm going to see if the crowd has a reaction to this. We don't see this item all that much. So Chronos pendant picked up after Shoes of the Magi there on Zalia. I think if it was anybody else, we'd all be a little bit upset, but then you're thinking, it's Zalia, so maybe he has a thing.
Maybe he knows something that we don't. Well, I mean, Chronos Pendant is an item that has been falling out of favor now for quite some time. Grants a modest amount of physical, or magical power, at 75. 25 MP5, which is nice, and the ability cooldown is reduced to 25%. However, the Breastplate of Valor just gives you so much more, the physical protection, the mana, and the cooldown reduction as well. Tends to be the more favored item. Oh, they've caught out Sio. They see him as a red buff with a ward. They're going to dunk right on top of him with a Zapman rotation. Very, very smart play by Dignitas. Ladies and gentlemen, map awareness.
Well, that was just a gut feeling. They had no wards, they had no vision, but they saw Sio go over there. They knew the damage buff was up, and they're thinking, they called it preemptively. Zapman went up to the air and flew along as much as he could, so they knew he was going there. They just couldn't see him inside of it. There's issues on Suntouch, right? There's a ward, there's an initiation. Storm Call gets 2 silence. They're the best in Anatoly silence out. They're forced to back away here. But I want to bring it back to this Chronos pendant just a bit. In fact, I talked with Zalia and Sio a little bit on their idea on what they want to do with boots, and they don't like Shoes of Focus. They don't like it. They want, when you're looking at Mageville, you generally don't have all that many opportunities to get penetration.
That's
so
right.
you fill it in with the boots, and Obsidian Shard is kind of the only one that you have there. And so you're looking at Chronos Pendant. If you're going to go for Shoes of the Magi, you don't have many opportunities to pick up CDR either. And so he's going to put some damage here, a little bit of mana generation, which is great on Raw, which means he can heal more often. And now he's going to have that cooldown reduction. Oh, here it goes, left side. Smack in trouble, goes down.
Zapman playing lights out yet again today. Wow. Truly a LAN player through and through. We see him struggle occasionally in internet play, online play, but here in LAN and over the last 3 years has been one of, if not the most dominant hunters in the zero ping environment.
That's right. He loves the crowd. He loves being up on stage, and he loves getting kills, and he's getting them right now. He's sitting at 7,600 gold, 1, 1, and 3. His crucial build is done. That Draining Blade as well as that Arzeer Murder. First damage, Cataclysm buys time. He doesn't have a shield. Roll out. Can he get the distance? Looks like he will be able to. Chalk is here. Looking for Zapman. Rain Call. Or Rain Dance, not going to really get the slow on top. They're going to disengage. Sio rotating over.
Oh, Sio could be in some trouble. Chain CC coming through. Burst before the ultimate can pop. Down, they will take the mid laner. Zapman is taken to the skies, crashing back down, though, just to clear the minions. Shadow Q going to fall. Looks like Dignitas considered re-engaging there onto Suntouch, but called it off, and Zapman just going to continue to farm. Now going to throw some auto attacks onto Suntouch. And one thing to definitely note here about this Chalk pick from Suntouch is that almost every ultimate has been used defensively. Very seldomly have we seen that look to set up kills. And notably in the mid lane where we last saw him use it, it was to save the Geb underneath the tower, which I think is probably something they should have just thrown away.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to secure that kill. Geb's so durable, and honestly, something they may have thought about, but maybe just kind of poking to see what happens and kind of deal with it as it goes. Dignitas are very versatile. They kind of tend to acquiesce as the game flows along, and that's their general strategy. You know, Zapman defending his left tower here as Smek puts pressure on top of it, looking for an Impale. You know Smek wants that Impale so bad, trying to get him back for that early solo kill. Zapman with the recall taunt. Answer with Desert Fury, but he gets out.
Wow. That's the power of the Serenade there, granted the extra defense to survive that Desert Fury. Well played there by Zapman. You know, I got to point out here, Sayo has actually elected for the Polynomicon second item over that Rod of Tahuti Rush. Looks like they want more damage in less time here. They're having trouble bursting down targets, and the lifesteal certainly will help him stay alive. Left side lane here, Shadowcue banished, missed by Lassus. They're going to pop Heavenly Agility for this. They're going to try to go in. They're using another ultimate there by Murder once again to save Zalia coming through with that snipe out of the jungle. And now it's Lassus in some trouble. Going to try to turn and burn is Cloud9. Dignitas looking to retreat out of this fight. Cloud9 still looking for the pressure, but here comes Zapman into the front line. Serenade throwing in the auto attacks onto Smek. Looks like he's going to try to go the distance here, Dry Bear.
Trying to find it there. Smek has a shield on top. Zalia getting low. Solar Blessing buys time. One more shot will do it. He doesn't land it. And Zapman is able. No. Zapman! He's going to just push back and go down.
Punished by Cloud9. Zapman never afraid of the big plays, but once again we see Zapman falling, and once again we see Team Dignitas split pushing effectively on the back of that. A lot of room is being made by Zapman right now. Of course, he will not be carrying quite as hard through the mid game, and they are going to give a tower back to Sayo on the right side, and it looks like Sayo's not done quite yet.
Getting the gold three as well. We have Lassus and Anatoly grouping up to take this gold three down. No one in the area, although it does look like Murder's on his way over. Hand three should be available, but there goes the Secure coming through. Shadowcue locks that one in. Of course, Zalia is in there. It's the snipe! No way!
2 snipes in 1 minute there by Zalia, and we were joking kind of in the earlier stages of the event that Zalia has never missed a 2-wall snipe. In fact, he sometimes rotates in the jungle just to shoot through 2 walls because it always hits.
Yeah, he just likes it. He doesn't like seeing his enemies, he just wants to kill them.
Yeah, he's like the Jedi Master of raw snipes. Going deep here is Cloud9. Looks like they are transitioning into this objective-based game. They're trying to take these towers down very, very quickly. Murder in a bit of trouble, though, as he's getting knocked out of rollout. Cataclysm used yet again defensively, rotating into Shadowcue over the top with Somersault. Jingle Bang should secure this after Master's Will, and there it is, picked up by Zapman. They get a kill onto him nicely. Smek does not have sprint and beads available anymore, already used, but he has pulled away from Zapman. Rotation from Anatoly a bit too late to try to find a good angle.
Now look at the awareness here from Dignitas. They ping Sayo as he's rotating right as they're getting a kill. So they're always aware of what's happening next. They're planning so far in the future to step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1, get the kill on Murder. Step 2, check the area, make sure they're not getting rotated on, and followed up by C9. So looking at charts, 3,100 gold in favor of Dignitas as well as 1,400 experience. It's looking pretty good for them. Now, the beginning, C9 had a good lead. But Dignitas turn it around and just down to objectives. I mean, they have the positioning, they have the awareness, and they planned out when they want to go with the objectives based on when they get a pick.
You know, it actually kind of reminds me of what DJ Pernicus was talking about during some of our analysis yesterday, which is that Cloud9 was finding kills in the early game, but kills don't really amount to much in Smite. And the objectives that they got off of that, or the map positioning or deep wards, they didn't really capitalize on any of those kills. It simply was a 6-to-1 advantage. And now you see Dignitas has rallied back in kills, but more importantly, objectives.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, is that the kills give you the vision. Of course, the towers going down give you the map control. It's all about gaining steady ground little by little until the enemy team just cannot contest against you in open field, and then you're free to control more of the map. And that's what Dignitas is doing here. They're slowly building it up so C9 doesn't have any leg to stand on. Does look like Murder wants to go ahead and take on Zapman yet again. Zapman's going to spot him out. That goes right to beat him head on. Gotta love this guy with how aggressive he can be, especially since he's a hunter, and oftentimes gets away with it, although last time he didn't get away with that dive on the tower.
Yeah, a little too aggressive in the last engagement there. Murder makes his way, shades over towards the mid lane in case Dignitas attempts to dive onto Sayo there. Looks like they're gonna go ahead and fall back, but you know, they've really kept Geb in limbo here. They've got a few kills on Murder now so far. He's only sitting at level 12 when you look over at Shadowcue, level 14, as they've had him ping-ponging between mid and the left side lane. Zapman.
Good shield there from Geb, preventing it, but there goes Shadow Q coming in like a monkey, just flying through. Of course, that awesome skin, that Dark Lord Sun Wukong, making it look pretty in the mid lane. Last slinger kill, and Sayo not going to find Spirit Ball a little bit late. Wind Gust from over the wall, not going to have the distance. Last survives. Crazy play there.
Yeah, you know, a little bit of a dangerous play, went really, really deep there, used the ultimate, but did not have the Apollo ultimate available to follow that up. Definitely not what they're looking for. They want Cloud9 to try to engage and then get frustrated as they have Aphrodite providing invulnerability, Shadow Q's ultimate providing invulnerability, as well as the Freya's ultimate and providing invulnerability. Very, very similar into the last team comp they ran that was just so effective against Cloud9. And once again, it's the Zapman show, sitting at 2-2 in this game, but he has just been so disruptive to the enemy team. Xaylia now caught out on the right side, jungle, and just blown up by a 3-god combination there. Best the only one that's a true damage dealer at this point in the game, but it was still enough to pick up that Ra. And here you see the Breastplate of Valor not coming into the game, the Mail of Renewal not coming into the game, going for the straight damage, leading to a kill on non-tanky target. Zapman on the left side, jungle drive air.
Gonna find the kill, Spec goes down, Murder banished up in the air. Lazarus wants this shot here. Rotation from Zapman, so beautiful. The shots are coming through, Murder a lot of trouble, gets in over this area, there goes another kill. Zapman is on a killing spree.
And now they're going to try to find an angle onto Sayo. Shadow Q rotating around through the jungle. Sayo doesn't know he's here. There's the Jingle Bang. Where's the sun? Silence coming out. He's going to kite him away with the Wind Gust, and it looks like it's going to be enough transformation used to get into position there. Shadow Q unable to stall out the Isis long enough for the team to rotate in.
The best going to hang out in the mid lane, push this up towards the tower here as Last jumps over the Fire Giant. They're going to group up for this. Looking for a Sayo. The sun is not available. Not going to land. The blink is forced out, and now he doesn't have that available for 3 full minutes. Going towards the Fire Giant. Dignitas has the control. They have the vision now. There's not everyone in position. Just spawning is Murder. He's the only one with hand 3. The Wrath of the Gods is not there. Dignitas. You hear the bang. That's Fire Giant.
And that's the power of Freya there in a lot of respects. Very, very high damage with low items, and also with the Banish being very effective at stopping gods like Chalk from being able to get an angle there to find the rain call, I'm sorry, the storm call, and maybe disrupt kind of that Fire Giant, maybe have them take more damage they intended. Because if Freya gets out in front and lands that Banish, he's pretty much going to be guaranteed to die with a follow-up from Sun Wukong.
Yeah, the Sun Wukong is so great at dealing damage even when he's this tanky. I mean, you look at Shadow Q, he's got his Sovereignty done, he's got his Magi's Blessing, he's now starting up that round shield, but at the same time, he's got a lot of damage on the back end because of his natural gains as a bruiser versus a support tank, someone like Sobek. Now look at the charts
man
here.
Going deep into the tier 2 on the left side. They want to bait a fight here. I think he's a little bit too far ahead of his team. Snipe coming
Shadow
through.
Q?
Not going to hit. Now Shadow Q from behind with the backstab. Dignitas, you can tell, was looking for an extremely aggressive play there. They're going to find the Banish on the Sayo, however. This could turn into big time damage. Sayo going to try to move forward with the ultimate. Not going to find it. It's a big ultimate from Chalk, though. Isn't enough for Cloud9 to turn this. No. Murder will fall yet again. Dignitas is rolling through the tier 2. Xaylia finds damage. It's not going to be enough. They may lose Sun Touch here as well. Aphrodite doing so much damage in that fight.
Sun Touch going down to the best because of big burst on top. That Smack looking for an impale on Shadow Q, but they just don't have it. It's Xaylia and Smack by themselves defending this tier 2 tower. It's going to go down. Gold Fury is available. Fire Giant is down. They have the Fire Giant buff. They're going to keep on going. The Searing Pain hits, but they have so much healing from Aphrodite. Freya is almost free to go in completely because of the protection provided by Aphrodite. Damage out coming through. Xaylia is throwing out the Solar Blessing, getting some damage out on top of his last, but he's already back at like 3/4 HP, full mana on Anatolia, allows his whole team to stay alive. The Phoenix goes down. Dignitas, they're in complete control.
Team Dignitas definitely smelling blood here. They want to go for that victory. They want to send Cloud9 home, packing all the way back on that long, lonely plane ride across the ocean to Europe. They want to show that North America deserves their spot in the losers bracket finals. They're going to have 2 more games ahead of them to get there into the grand finals. However, it's going to be a Gold Fury going once again to Team Dignitas, putting their gold lead over 10,000 gold, experience right at 10,000, and now they have to try to break the base of Cloud9.
You know, I think the biggest thing here is Dignitas is kind of leaning on their discipline. They're saying, you know, we get a small win, we're to come back and go for objectives, slow. They're not getting greedy. They're getting greedy in their plays and their picks, but not their decision making for objectives. They go for a Phoenix, they pull back, they get a Gold Fury, they go home. We saw on the right lane last game, they got a tier 2 tower, they had all 4 up, didn't go for Fire Giant. They just went home and healed up. They're being very cautious about when they decide to go in. And honestly, when you're 10,000 gold in lead, 9,800 in experience, as well as everyone's starting to near the level 20 mark. There's actually 3 level 20s there on Dignitas, 1 level 20 for Cloud9. Style about to hit that mark, but they have control of the map. They have control of the team fights. Fire Giant is going to last a little bit longer before it comes back up, and they're looking to use it on the mid tower.
You know, I think that a lot of this is Dignitas showing us something that we've never really seen before, which is using that Apollo as an initiator and really creating space for the rest of the team. Normally it's the other way around. Normally the team looking for picks to try to make room for their Hunter to get into hyper carry state, but here we see Zapman moving into fights, initiating them, knowing that his team is going to be able to cover the distance in time, especially what they've drafted here. Anatoly able to heal him back up as long as he uses his escapes appropriately.
Yeah, the escapes are really important here because if you use it preemptively, they're going to jump on it. Zapman by himself right side, using that escape, as mentioned. Sprint Purification beats along with it, making sure he gets out of dodge. But of course, Aphrodite puts on the heals with the Lovebirds, making sure that Katak plays up. Storm Call gets interrupted by Anatoly's ultimate. Now going to kill Suntouch in the backside. Blasts up in the air, going to do some damage here on top. Blasting it very, very low here. Silent goes down well. Shadowkeep landing on top of the Phoenix. The Phoenix is going to drop very, very low. Murder in the backside, forced into his own base. Smack, Murder, Zalia. Zapman comes down from above, Smack dropping low, Smack's gonna go down, Shadowkeep. Now it's Murder's turn, he's going back to the well, the Titan is taking damage, and it's only being shot by the Phoenix, but they don't care.
Dignitas going to look for the mid-Phoenix now, Driver. They're moving in. They can heal this all back very quickly with the Aphrodite. Anatoly still sitting at about half HP. One more Birds onto the Titan here. Should heal them back up. Murder does find a kill on the last. That's a lot of their damage, but they need to get Zapman healed. Zalia finds a kill on the Shadowkeep. Best still in there. Now the Ra is down. Murder falling quickly. Zapman looking for the auto attacks. Dashing in. Anatoly, back off. Go home. Fire Giant. And the Titan down there. Dignitas
takes game 2, a 2-0 victory for Dignitas, showing off their LAN experience here today in a 2-0 complete set against Cloud9 HyperX. And it's not a small feat. Cloud9, an incredibly strong team, but Dignitas comes out on top.
That was a treat to watch. Very one-sided matchup, obviously. Dignitas taking both games with really a lot of flair, in fact. But
right.
I think that it was just a treat to watch the way that they brought that strategy to fruition. They kept Apollo out ahead of the team. They knew they could cover the distance. They had the sprints. They had the heavenly agilities. They had gods that could cover distance very well. Sun Wukong, Agni, just a brilliantly drafted team. It was very hard to engage on them. Apollo, great escapes. Aphrodite, very hard to burst down. Agni with an instant dash that makes him CC immune. Sun Wukong with the ultimate that he goes immune in, as well as Freya. So there was really not an easy target to burst there. And when you look, they were relying so heavily, Cloud9 was on that Chalk silence, as they didn't have any chain CC to really follow the Geb up without Impales and Spirit Balls. Both very difficult skill shots to land.
That's exactly right, but we're going to shoot over the Analyst to see what they think about this with the Alienware Analyst. Des, trend kill?
Thanks, gentlemen. Team Dignitas pulls out a 2-0 victory against Cloud9. We're still live up in the Analyst desk, and we're here at the launch tournament. I know you guys love it. I'm going to keep doing it. DM, what happened here?
Well, first things first, everybody in the stands, let's give a round of applause for Cloud9 HyperX.
Yeah.
Get it loud, guys. Show Me Love came all the way from Europe. They played a great set against Team Dignitas, who we'll be checking in with Kelly Link in just a little bit. But the first thing we want to do is talk about that set right there, especially that specific game early on. That first blood, Lionheart, was incredible. The overall control of the game was just beautiful in the beginning for C9.
That's right, that's right. I mean, the pace of the game was set right here at the beginning. Look at this. There's a trade between Sion and the Best. The Best is at full health at the beginning of this, and he's taking so much damage from these ranged minions and the channeling, and I don't think he's used to it. And the dash, it's about to go off. He gets stunned, he triggers it, and the last attack is enough to give that first blood. And at that point, you're thinking, Cloud9's going to take this. We're going to get to game 3. They have the game in their control, and then at 12 minutes, the train gets stopped and it starts going the other way. There's an engagement over in the left-hand lane. Cloud9, they split up. They lose somebody, so there's a pick-off. It's 4v5. Dignitas moves into the jungle, and Cloud9 chooses to re-engage 3v5, and they lose another person. Then Dignitas, that opens up for a free goal for you. You're thinking, okay, 2 picks. Cloud9's still ahead. They're going to be able to come back at this. They move forward. Xaylia comes in after the Gold Fury has already been finished with the Hand of the Gods, and he gets picked also. So 3 members of Cloud9 go down. They lose a Gold Fury, and from there on, Dignitas piled forward ahead.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of incredible because we see every game, you get a small lead and you need to push it forward. That's it. Because if you don't push your advantages at 20 minutes, you're going to be that same 300 gold ahead. And in this situation, Cloud9 just kept trying to fight for things they couldn't fight for because they wanted to press that advantage. And they kept getting picks. They were down 1-6 on Dignitas. And this is a thing that me and Trent have been talking about. Me and Dry have been talking about. Me and Bart have been talking about.
Me and you have been talking about?
No. Not you.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I just want to be included.
Every time Team Dignitas is ahead by a kill, they drop a kill. Every time they're behind a kill, they pick up a kill. And this is the first major disadvantage we've seen them. They were down 1-6. Then it was 7-7. It was incredible.
Yeah, I think, like you were talking about earlier, that Gold Fury was obviously a huge turning point. And we saw Xaylia come and maybe try to contest it, but his ult was down and he was alone. I think it might have been a communication error. These are some things that professional teams always need to communicate. Okay, are we going to give this up? You know, this 1,500 gold here, is it really worth contesting? Because if you do end up dying, you might lose another 1,500 gold from a tier 2 tower. You might lose a Fire Giant. You might lose a Phoenix. I think they were just on a different page, and they might not have been talking enough at that time to really contest it as a whole.
It's interesting, too. I kind of want to go back because I need to contradict myself from earlier where I said that. So I kind of stumbled there. I want to contradict myself from earlier because I said, you know, both of these teams are train-type teams. They get going in the early game, and if they win the early game, they take the game. And that's been true up until this point.
Yep.
I mean, the early game was definitely Cloud9 HyperX's, but Team Dignitas, when they turned it around that 12-minute mark, it became their game, and they basically changed the pace of everything.
Yeah, and I want to go back. We just got done hyping up Anatoly from the last game. He picks Afro in the solo lane, and Pernicus, you had a lot to say about that, and I don't know, did your opinion change?
Yeah, I wanted to apologize to my teammate Gizmo, a.k.a. Shotgun Divorce. I was a bad boy. And I told Dig about how good Aphrodite is in the solo lane and why I like it so much. And I was actually a little surprised they did pick it so soon after I told them about it. The builds were a little bit different. I normally see a Doom Orb just for a larger heal, more clear in lane. But it was a huge factor in the game. You know, you see him attached to a tank even, Sun Wukong. We talked about how much damage as a Guardian he can do. Well, if he has an ult that flies him up in the sky, regens his life, he has an Aphrodite who can ult him, which makes him immune, and heal him for the HP he lost. He's almost like an invincible character, really. And I think we'll be seeing that more often. We saw it appear in ranked after the tournament that my team beat COG. It's a whoa! I didn't mean it like that.
Easy.
But Aphrodite is a very strong character, and I'm glad she's in the game because the more gods included in these competitive matches, the more fun for the fans.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually a big fan of Aphrodite, and I was a little surprised to see them pick up Kiss so early. And I mentioned this to Pernicus, and I want you to elaborate just a little bit more on why we saw Kiss at level 2.
Okay, yeah. So I've been talking a lot about how important the 1 through 4 is. I talked about how a lot of the European teams were pinned to their tower early yesterday, and today they're doing a better job. One thing with Aphrodite getting her Kiss so soon is that blue buff. We know her passive kind of gives mana to whoever she kissed, right? And we also know that her heal is a very strong part of her kit. With both of those components, you almost never lose HP and you almost never lose any mana 1 through 4. You can take as much poke as you want, and you can almost use your spells without even having to use have a second thought, rather. And that having that strong 1 through 4, even though they died and they were, many times it was 1-6, they weren't too far behind in gold because they were able to get to mid-Furies and they were able to get gold elsewhere on the map outside of those kills.
Hey, I want to point out, we had an item discrepancy according to Drybear. We saw Chronos Pendant picked up.
I'm not a fan.
Were there any other things that you guys saw in the builds that threw you for a loop, or?
I know we talked about the Divine Ruin. I like the Divine Ruin.
Yeah, and on my side of the Divine Ruin, I mean, look, they made it work. They won the game, so who am I to criticize? But I think
Lionheart.
I would have liked. Thank you. I would have liked the Divine Ruin on Agni a little bit more than Aphrodite, just because Agni is going to be able to cast more abilities in a shorter frame time. And the way the item was changed, it no longer needs to stack.
Right.
It's just an 8-second passive proc. So I think Agni has a better chance to be able to apply it. But end of the day, they made it work, and you really saw just from the build of Aphrodite that it was much more survivability, utility-based. They wanted her in there for the sustain, for the stun, the extra damage, that kind of stuff.
Well, I think it's... Bart was talking about this earlier. He said, he noticed the chalk play that I did with the Aphrodite in previous tournaments, and he said how similar it could be with Raw and potentially Geb Shield. But we saw a strange build. We saw the cooldown reduction built instead of, sometimes people get Quinzais, right? So you have auto attacks. And I think that might have been a better route to take for Suntouch because their team appeared as if they were relying on him as the main source of damage. And without having auto attack damage, once his skills were down, he wasn't really a threat. And if we're talking about characters like Aphrodite being there, he can heal a lot of that ability damage back up, or she can heal rather a lot of that ability damage back up. And after that, they didn't really have a presence in any of those team fights.
Yeah.
So, did you guys notice that they banned the same characters 2 times in a row?
Absolutely, yeah.
I love it. Zeus and Odin banned from Dig both times, Nemesis and Tyr banned both times, and the picks were still pretty different.
And then running that Apollo front line.
Zatman
initiation.
Zatman diving 5 people at towers, man, and they get away with it.
I don't understand how. But anyway, guys, we're going to go down to hi-rez Kelly, who's ready with an interview with Lasses. Lasses is a very emotional guy, so I'm excited to see what he has to say. So, Kelly, we're coming to you.
Hello, everybody. I'm here with Lasses from Team Dignitas. We just saw that play right there. A lot of action. I just heard you were an emotional guy from Trendkill. How emotional are you right now?
I'm almost in tears.
So we just saw that play going on. A lot of action going on. What was going through your mind? What happens? How's the communication going on between your team when there's so many ultimates, so many skills going on?
We're constantly the whole time. Zatman's like, dive the Phoenix, but we try to keep him in line. But we always try to play the aggressor because we want people to we want to force situations because people don't know how to react sometimes. That's it.
So SK and Snipe are fighting right now, and you guys are going to be fighting the winner of that. Who would you rather be facing? What's the benefits and the downsides of fighting either of the teams?
Well, we're ready to win against SK, so we look forward to fighting them again. But, Snipe's also incredibly strong. Xing and Allied, even Wolfie are just great players. I mean, the whole team is, but we kind of rather verse SK just because we have the experience with them.
So day 1's over. We're in day 2. Do you feel like your jitters are a little bit gone? Are you a little bit nervous now that you're in the lower brackets?
As long as I got beer, I'm all right.
All right, well, thank you so much, Lasses. Is there anything you want to say to your sponsors or the fans? Because it seems like you have a lot of fans.
I love you guys. You guys made this possible for me. And if you want to buy me a beer later, hook me up. And thank you, sponsors, Alienware, Dignitas, team. I love you guys. You guys rock.
All right. Well, congratulations and good luck on your next match. And we are now going to go to the hosts.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Guys, I have some exciting news for you all. We have one game left today, and in that game, we have 2 undefeated teams. One from North America and one from Europe. They're your top seeds, Team Solo Mid and Cognitive Gaming. Does that sound like a good game to you guys? Well, you're in luck. At 3 o'clock, that game is going to kick off, so go grab a beer, make a sandwich, and meet us back here for some hilarious Smite videos before we get into that final game. That's Cognitive Gaming versus Team Solo Mid, undefeated, North America versus Europe. Everything is on the line. So I'll see you then.